Welcome to Cars and Aircraft Explained. Today we're going to dive deep into a car that didn't just smash records, it completely rewrote the rules of what performance even means. This, right here, is the story of the McLaren P1.
You know, this quote just hits the nail on the head. Before the P1, if you heard hybrid, you thought efficiency, you thought saving fuel. But McLaren, they took that idea, flipped it completely upside down, and asked a totally different question. What if we use this electric power just to go insanely fast?
Now, the P1 didn't just appear out of nowhere. Oh no, it was McLaren's first big move in a brand new kind of tech battle against its biggest rivals, Ferrari and Porsche. This was, basically, the start of the hybrid hypercar war.
So to really get why McLaren went this way, you have to understand the corner they were in. I mean, they'd already built the legendary F1 back in the 90s, a pure analog masterpiece. But since then, the entire car world had changed, dramatically.
See, supercars were just getting heavier, all these new safety rules and luxury gadgets. They were also becoming unbelievably complex, stuffed to the gills with computers and electronics. And all of that made the idea of building another pure, lightweight driver's car like the F1, well, it seemed almost impossible.
So that was it. That was the big question bouncing around the walls at McLaren. How could they take all this modern tech, not as a burden, but as a weapon to create the most incredible, most engaging driver's car on the entire planet? Their answer, of course, was the P1.
And let me tell you, the engineering behind the P1 was just relentless. Every single piece, every nut and bolt, had one job and one job only, to make the car perform better. This wasn't just a small step forward, it was a total revolution, and it happened in three key areas. Okay, let's start with the heart of this beast. The P1 took a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8 and slammed it together with a seriously powerful electric motor. The result? A mind-blowing 903 combined horsepower. I mean, for a road car back then, a number like that was it was science fiction. But here's the P1's real secret weapon, something they called electric torque fill. You know how turbocharged cars usually have that tiny delay, that lag, before the power really kicks in? Well, McLaren used the instant kick of the electric motor to completely, totally erase that gap. And this is just brilliant, because it shows you the hybrid system was never about saving gas. It was all about making the throttle response razor sharp, delivering this brutal, instant wave of torque and making turbo lag completely extinct. It made the car feel like it was wired directly into your thoughts.
All right, let's move on to the second piece of the puzzle, aerodynamics. The body of the P1 doesn't just look wild for show. Every single curve, every vent, every surface is sculpted to bend the air to its will.
The P1 is packed with active aero. You've got this gigantic rear wing that moves around for braking or for more speed. Up front, you've got flaps that pop out to keep the car balanced. And then there's race mode. The whole car hunkers down and generates more downforce than a lot of actual dedicated race cars. It's insane. Okay, on to the third and final pillar. So you've got this heavy battery and an electric motor. How do you deal with that extra weight? Well, McLaren just went back to what they do better than almost anyone, carbon fiber. The whole skeleton of the car is a single piece of carbon fiber, a tub, which is incredibly strong but weighs next to nothing. All the body panels? Carbon fiber. The inside, stripped bare of anything that wasn't absolutely essential. It was a complete obsession with shedding every possible gram. So when the P1 finally arrived, it officially kicked off what's probably one of the most legendary showdowns in the history of cars. It became known as the Battle of the Holy Trinity. I mean, think about it. You had three of the biggest names in the business all launching their flagship hybrid hypercars at the exact same time. You had McLaren with his turbo and torque-fill P1. You had Ferrari with his screaming V12 and a KR-style hybrid in the LaFerrari. And then you had Porsche with the unbelievably tucky all-wheel drive 918 Spider. Three completely different ways of thinking, all chasing the exact same goal, ultimate performance. So what does all this crazy engineering actually feel like? Well, the numbers, they're just staggering. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, or 62 miles per hour, in about 2.8 seconds. That is just ferocious, physics-defying acceleration. But honestly, this next number might be even more impressive. 0 to 200 kilometers per hour. That's 124 miles per hour in less than 7 seconds. It just goes to show you that the P1 wasn't just quick off the line. It was relentlessly, brutally fast all the way through the rev range. And the top speed? It was electronically limited to 350 kilometers per hour, or 217 miles per hour. And the key word there is limited.
They basically had to cap it to keep the tires from vaporizing. The car itself wanted to go even faster.
So, when it's all said and done, what's the P1's real legacy? It's so much more than just being a ridiculously fast car. The P1 marks a genuine, fundamental shift in what we even thought was possible in a car.
It proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that you could use hybrid tech to make cars not just faster, but more responsive, more alive, and even more controllable right at the very edge. It actually added to the driving experience, instead of taking something away.
And really, that's the whole story right there. The McLaren P1 took a technology that was meant for being sensible and turned it into a weapon for pure performance. It wasn't just a first shot in the hypercar war, it was the exact moment engineers decided their new job wasn't to be efficient, but to literally dominate the laws of physics.